Dear Rentals Club members, today I'm with Barbara Jones. She's a CEO and founder of StayBillety. Niche listing sites are all the rage at the moment, but here we go beyond niche. We're going to be talking about attachment, about very loyal people, or about hosts who would never open the doors to anyone, but for the guests that StayBillety can bring. So let's talk about this tribal attachment that StayBillety is able to tap into. And Barbara as well, we'll be talking about the way she's going after investors at the moment, because it's a great moment for a company. She's opening up to investors, and there's a lot of things happening right now in the company. So without further ado, let's welcome Barbara. Barbara, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me join you here, Thibault. I look forward to our conversation and to sharing a bit about what StayBillety is, because we are all about sharing.
So I've been teasing people about tribal attachment, about hosts that would open the doors only to the guests that you can bring. So what is it about? What is StayBillety about?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, StayBillety is the short-term rental and home sharing platform for groups and organizations and their communities. And what I mean by that is we have affiliates. Our clients are these affiliate groups and organizations, be they alumni groups, athletics groups, sports groups, service clubs, and they are our clients, our affiliates. They provide the platform to their communities. And when their community members book with StayBillety, a percentage of each transaction goes back to those organizations. So they're providing a new service, a new and relevant service to their communities. And that's kind of how it works in a nutshell.
The question I have for you, Barbara, is that let's talk about these groups that you talked about, these communities. For example, let's talk about North America. So I went to university in the US, so I can have a clear idea of what you're talking about. But could you explain a bit more and give us examples of what these communities are? And once again, why would they open? What would be so active with you? Why would they want to work with you?
Well, I really like the Economist quote that is tribal loyalties foster trust. And the thinking behind StayBillety is that there's a world of people out there who won't necessarily open their home to a stranger, and conversely, they don't want to stay with a stranger. But in big organizations like universities in the US, they have very passionate communities. They have passionate fans for football, for basketball, around sports, where there might be 50,000 people attending a football game, and they're not all local. They could be coming from many miles away and are looking for a place to stay. They'd be delighted to stay with someone who's part of their community. As well, again, using the alumni world as an example, these alumni organizations in some cases have over 200,000 members, and they really want to support their school. And coming out of the pandemic, people may be having challenges in continuing to donate to the school. So maybe their way of participating in supporting their alumni is to open up that spare room. And it could be an alum that is traveling back to campus, back to the area for a big, what we'll call a tent pole event, or it could be an alum, let's say, of a San Francisco school who's traveling to New York. They would be more inclined to stay with someone who's part of their community rather than a non-affiliated, shall we say, short-term rental provider.
That's a great example. And again, so these communities are, alumni networks, for example, are your affiliates on your platforms. You enable, right, these affiliates to get their members, have their members find a place to stay, or have their members also open the doors to some people. And that example also translates into the sports world, right? And that could be, anywhere in the world that will work out, I think. So could you give us an example about, with the sports world, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're delighted I mean, we definitely recognize that there is an opportunity in the sports world, and some of our earliest affiliates were national sports organizations, as well as some colleges and universities. One big event and organization that we work with is Run Ottawa, and they run the Ottawa Marathon, and they do events throughout the year. They have over 13,000 people registered for the 2022 event. And so that's very exciting. So we're working with those organization to have folks that are part of their local community, be they runners or not. They might be people that are just really interested in supporting athletics. And that's where I get excited, when somebody who's the swimmer hosts a cyclist. That's pretty cool. So building community and engaging these communities in new ways is one of the great byproducts of this.
And it's a triple win, right? Like I, as an athlete, I get to stay maybe with a fellow athletes, and maybe, if I'm a triathlete, also, I get to, great places where I can train. So I get this like connection, and it's actually very useful. If maybe I'm an organization, I get a cut, right? For each time somebody stays somewhere. And you, of course, you benefit from being a platform, and you also take a cut on the stay, right? In terms of business model. Is it the right business model I have in mind?
Yeah, we absolutely. You've perfectly defined the model. It's a win-win-win, to be cliche. My brother is a triathlete, and he certainly was a focus group of one as we were looking at developing this. And as he said, just to kind of run through that example, if I'm a runner and I've got a race on Sunday morning, I don't want to have to check out at the time that the accommodation service says I have to check out. I want to come back and have a shower after the race. I want to maybe have a nap before I hit the road if I drove to that event, or I have to catch a plane. So there's a lot of and that's the type of thinking that applies to just about any sport. We are working with other sports as well, and you get each other. You understand the smelly equipment. You understand I need a drying rack. So there's some other little bits and pieces that make StayBillety unique, but that baked in understanding of each other is, as well as the engagement piece, is really I think the secret sauce.
Yeah, I like what you said, understanding each other. And it's really what we talk about the community when we started, and that's where it's about. And it is very unique. And at the moment you are growing, and I was going to say there's like, clear presence in North America. We talked about, triathletes, around the world. So there's associations of triathletes around the world. So it's a moment of growth for you, if I'm right. And I think it's also a moment where you are also welcoming investors to help you grow and to grow with you. Do you have some few words maybe for investors, like what are you looking for, what kind of investors maybe, and what you propose?
Well, certainly contact me. We'll start with that. So we're about to do a reaction, or triggering our pre-seed round, and we're very excited about that. Certainly, the focus has been and will continue to be on growth, providing listings and home opportunities, as well as short-term rental opportunities around the world to our community. At the same time, we're working on developing the relationships with the groups and organizations, very much targeting large American universities, to bring them on board, and have been very focused on developing and strengthening those relationships. So coming out of a challenging couple of years, it's time to put some fuel in the tank, and to be over cliched, put our foot down on the pedal to really grow this. I'm pretty passionate about it. I know the use cases are there. We have completely defined our product market fit. And we're ready to talk to investors that understand our space and can bring that additional fuel that maybe isn't so, maybe some of that intelligence fuel to help us, reach new customers.
All right. So if you're an investor watching this, and if you want to bring fuel to Barbara's venture, contact her. So what's the best way to reach out, Barbara, if people want to contact you?
Sure. info@staybillety.com. And yes, StayBillety is definitely a play on words, but we created our own word, info@StayBillety.
Perfect.
And we like to say our hashtags are staying alike and getaways for good. Staying alike and getaways for good. So every stay on StayBillety supports some group or organization.
Perfect. Barbara, thank you so much for taking the time, explaining your very unique model, the growth potential, and also opening up to the rental scale-up readers to make it possible for them to become investors. That's a great opportunity, I think. On this, thank you so much for your time today.
And thank you for your time.